Hello and welcome to another episode of Crate Diving. We're sitting down with the homie Joe from Sewn Together. And what was your other
Hello,
band that you
everybody.
were talking about?
I've been doing music as Common Cycles for since I was 17.
Okay.
My best friend Mike, I was talking about before, him and I started it, yeah, when we were 17, and it went through a bunch of shit, and then I ended up like reclaiming the name kind of thing, and I was like, this is gonna be me. Like now, it doesn't really matter if there's anybody else involved. It's kind of like it's my baby, you know. As much as Sewn Together is like mine and Ian's like fucking like literal fucking baby. Like both of our DNA is in that band, like 100%. Like there's no
Sewn Together.
qualms. Yeah, exactly. That's what was so cute about coming up with that name. I was like, dude, this name is. It sounds like it could be a brutal hardcore band, or it sounds like it could be a cute like married folk couple, like folk rock couple. You know what I mean? Like we didn't even want to start a band, and then came up with the name, and we both looked at each other like, band name's too good. Band name's too good. Now we got to start a band.
So, on that subject, the first question that I'll ask you, now that we're halfway through
Now we're
the
getting into it. Now we're getting into it. Now we're
halfway
finally
through.
getting into it. We've warmed up.
So how did the two of you come together and begin creating music under Sewn Together?
Well, when I first moved to Montreal, I was looking for members to play in Common Cycles. I was looking for my first and foremost was looking for a drummer, and the I don't know if you know this app. I don't know if it works in places like in the prairies, but in major cities it kind of works a bit, I guess. But it's
Tinder?
called Vamper. It's called Vamper.
Not
It's
Tinder.
yeah, don't do basically though. It's Vamper. Vamper is Tinder for musicians,
No way.
and you swipe on musicians
No
to match
way.
with them. Yeah, yeah,
That's sick.
yeah, for real, dude. And I found a drummer. I found a drummer from India, dude. He had just moved to Montreal like around the same fucking time that I did, and he was into metal and stuff like that. And so him and I met up and we chatted for a bit. And I realized that all the bands that he loves that are like huge in India are bands that aren't huge here. That like
Yeah.
one of them, like Threat Signal, I had played multiple shows with.
Threat Signal's so good.
Yeah, dude, I played multiple shows with them in the beginning of their career. Like because Call the Office being one of them. And Supernova. We can talk about Supernova shows later on. We can bitch about that, but I digress for right now. But so we bonded over that and the fact that we both love butt rock. Like we both love like Default and like Stained. At least the nice slower stuff of Stained. I don't
Oh
really like
man.
his fucking heavier shit.
I don't know.
Like don't tread on me, fucker. But like at the same time, like that some of those songs are so good. But
Did Al or I like overdose you on Creed when you were here? I can't
dude,
remember.
I fucking love Creed. We can't
We
start talking about Creed.
That's
We
all
can't
we
start
listened
talking.
to.
We can't. We can't.
That's all
We
we
can't.
listened
One
to.
time, Ian and I did a bunch of blow, and I was at his house and shit like that. And I was like, dude, your dad has fucking Weathered by Creed. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, you don't know, do you? You don't.
You have
You
no
need to
idea
listen.
how good
I
this is.
I forced him to fucking listen to this record like so hard. I was like, I think they should because they want it. Like I was like, yeah, dude, your head did exactly what mine did. Like, for real, like um okay, so we bond over that. He likes Creed too. His name's Eritrea. I should say his name's Eritrea. Yeah. And so we jammed once and I showed him the song Episodes, which wasn't it's the Common Cycle song at this point.
Right.
But it was a Common Cycle song that I didn't know what I was going to do with. Because it's not really in the vibe. Although I was kind of just doing whatever the fuck I felt back then because I wasn't thinking about starting another band. But we jammed the one time and I realized this dude, he's an amazing drummer. Um, and like, but I don't want to fucking subject him to having to play Common Cycle songs. I don't want to teach this guy songs. I
Yeah.
would rather fucking write some songs. And I said to myself, like, I always wanted to start a post-hardcore band. Maybe I should try and do that. Um, so we go a couple months without jamming. I end up finding a guitarist, or he ends up finding me. Hey, sorry, I got animals over here doing what they're doing. If you're going to eat, you need to stand and eat. Look at this fucking. Hold on. Look at the size of this fucking cat. Look at this. Look at this fucker.
Oh,
Like
Chong.
that's Sherlock, but everybody calls him Mayo
Okay.
because I have a friend who was like, oh, his name is, that's my impression of him. oh, his name is Sherlock, but I call him the big tub of mayonnaise. And then Alien to the Ignorant dudes, who were the ones playing at my house that weekend and staying at my house that weekend, they were like, sup, Mayo? Like, sup, Mello? Like, sup, Mello, Mike? But like, sup, Mayo? And then everybody at the punches start calling him Mayo. Okay, so 3 months go by. I get a message. I put up, we had back then on Facebook, like things worked, groups worked, Now they don't. Now it's full of people posting porn and shit. You're like, what the fuck? How's this getting through? So yeah, I posted on Montreal Musicians Network saying, hey, does any guitarist want to play post-hardcore? Because I didn't want to play guitar. Like, I was like, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to be able to be the vocalist. I found the drummer. That's all right. And I do play guitar, so we can develop things if we want to. But because I was playing guitar and singing when we first jammed. This guy from Newfoundland, and this is an attest to why you should always treat people like gold, okay? This guy from Newfoundland who had just moved to Montreal as well saw my post, and he saw that we had a mutual friend. And this mutual friend is a guy I played one show with at Call the Office from Newfoundland years before. And he messages that guy, hey, I don't know if you know this guy very well, but do you think I should try and jam with him? And those dudes said, that guy's a fucking sweetheart, and he's an awesome musician. If you could start a band with him, you should.
Hell yeah.
This is why you always be nice and why you're always on your game. And I know that I shouldn't say always on your game because I'm barely ever on my game. But that was one night that I fucking was, all right? And so we jammed. He kind of already came up with this like first song, and we kind of were already there, we just need other elements. So I posted another status. Hey, do any bass players want to play post-hardcore music? Because we got a guitar, now need a bass, and then can think about a second guitar. So we've got Aritra, we've got Tyler, and now we're about to have Will. And Will, it's so funny. So I put any bass players want to play post-hardcore, the comment section said, oh my God, I would fucking love this. Oh yeah, I would, this is my dream of this. And then Will says, yeah, I could be down for that. I was like, that's the guy. That's the guy. And he's like, that means he likes more than post-hardcore, right? Like, he's not like, oh my God, it's my entire life,
Yeah.
And so we met. I was doing volunteering at Puza that year for a camp called Rock Camp for Girls. It was Rock Camp for Girls and Gender Nonconforming Youth is what it is. And okay. I met him while I was working the booth there. He came up and introduced himself. He's like, hey, I'm Will, by the way, blah, blah, blah. Okay, sweet. We jam. And at that jam, he says, dude, I'm in another band. I'm in a ska band. It was not ska. It was more reggae.
Okay.
Okay. But I'm in a ska band, and there's a guitarist in that band that I think would fucking love this shit. He's made to play it. And then he's like, tomorrow we're playing a show at a bar we have here called Barfly. We're playing a show. You should come out and meet him. And I was like, all right. And so I go and I'm there and I'm looking at both guitarists as they play. There's this guy over here who looks like he should be in Sublime. And I was like, I bet you it's this guy. And I'm looking over at Ian and I'm like, I hope it's this guy. Because the way that Ian was playing, there was just something about him. And he was just so into his guitar, and you could just tell that it was just I'm watching magic happen in front of me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I hope it's this guy. It's probably going to be this guy with knowing my luck in the universe, but I hope it's this guy. And next thing you know, Will brings out Ian. And so Will ends up partying, he ends up going back in the bar and me and Ian just continue talking. I was like, yo, so Will can't show up on Sunday for this jam, but you should come anyway. And he goes, yeah, fuck yeah, I will. And so we chatted for a little bit longer, parted ways, and then he came to the jam on Sunday. And by that time, we had pretty much already worked out the whole song, even with Will, so we were able to pretty much just throw Ian into it. By the end of the jam, we had already started learning one of Ian's songs that he had written when he was 17, and that's She Left Us for the Sea, which is this band's called No Rescue, by the way, I should say.
Okay.
This is us starting a band called No Rescue. And
I do remember you talking about them at that band at the show. Yeah.
Yeah. So we a week later after that jam, I should say it. That jam, we go out for a smoke and I'm like, yo, do you smoke weed? And he goes, yeah. I was like, do you want to go to Fatal, which is where Trackside is? I was like, if you want to go to Fatal, I'm going to go buy some weed. Weed wasn't legal at this point. I'll go buy some weed and we could smoke some weed. He goes, bro, I have a half ounce in my car. And I was like, oh, okay. So he's just
Set.
fucking sell me some weed. But then we ended up fucking driving around. I just drank in his front seat. Like we drove around, you know, did some shit we shouldn't have done, like fucking, got around. This is like literally like 3 hours after we like became friends. It was like we're besties. We're besties.
Love that.
And like a week after that, the five of us jammed in a room for the first time, and we all already knew that one song. So it was like, boom, like clicked. And all five of us were like, yes, here we go. We came up with the name like maybe a week later as a joke. Like, yo, it needs to be one word. It needs to be something like so like desperate and like stupid sounding. Like, dude, no rescue. Yeah, oh yeah, okay. Like from like Glassjaw, like no rescue, girl. That, and then like the two dots on either side, like your band name is wearing spacers, like Monine.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing that, And at this point, I just moved to Montreal like almost a year before that, and I was not happy. Like I was not happy. And I was like, my mom always says, give things a year, give changes a year. And I straight up was like, it's almost a year and I'm already thinking about going home. I'm so lonely. My drinking has become out of control.
Yeah.
Right around that time, I ended up meeting a guy who's still my best friend through the fact that like I was at work and some guy was like trying to give me a walkie-talkie. He's like, c'est quoi ton nom déjà? Which is, what's your name again? And I said, Joe. And he goes, Chub? And Lucas, like my buddy, Lucas, who's my buddy now, like who I've met once before this, goes, "Oh my god, dude! I gotta become your best friend right now just to make sure that sticks." And then like all day was calling me Chub and Chubby and Chubsters and stuff. And I was like, this dude just gave me a nickname, and I felt so lonely. Like like a nickname makes somebody feel like home, even if it's like so whatever. But he made sure everybody at that company called me Chub. Like everybody who worked with me at that company still calls me Chub. Like, and I'm like a twig, so it's like a mafia nickname. But then then 2 weeks after that, No Rescue jams for the first time in a room. And so I was like, okay, there we go. It just became my home. I get it. I found it. That was that niche I needed to find. I came out here, it almost failed. And no, I did it, And then No Rescue, man, it picked up fucking hard. Like we were like, okay, I booked a show with a band from my hometown called Junko Daydream at the bar I was talking about, Barfly. I was like, it's at the end of August, so we can make that our first show and we give ourselves a goal, because what we wanted to do was play shows. Like all of us wanted to play shows. That's all we wanted to do. We didn't give a fuck about anything else. And so, so like a month and a half into jamming, we're at 4 songs now, and all of us look at each other, and we've been offered a show at the beginning of August now. So because I had done some shows as common cycles for a booking agency here called Outbreak. Gabe, wonderful guy. I was consistently telling him I'm trying to start a post-hardcore band, and he goes, I always have post-hardcore shows and never a band to book. So if you do it, let me know. And then finally, a month and a half in, it was like, I think either I said, we actually think we're ready to play, or something like that. Because one of those things where I was like, hey, you know what? We got 4 songs. Let's fucking go. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
But basically, we ended up like the shows just kept rolling in. So we already had the second show booked at the end of August. We ended up booking a tour, a Weekend Warrior tour, at the beginning of October. And then at the end of October, we had that show they had offered us. By then, we're also playing in November. And then we fucking, like, we went off. And, like, there's this local band called Kennedy, who, like, took us under their wing, who, like, they're fucking great. Like, if you don't know Kennedy, look up Kennedy Noise. They are so good. There's no way you'll be able to get them out to fucking Saskatchewan because they are old. But
I've definitely heard of it before.
Yes. Yeah, worth listening to, man. Like a fucking awesome band. But they treated us like gold and like took us under their wing, and we ended up getting a lot of shows after that. And so Ian and I did that for years. The pandemic hit, and I had to go back home to London because I had gotten rid of my apartment 2 months before the pandemic hit, which means I was so depressive I didn't even find another apartment to go to. So I was at a point where I was staying at my friend's house and she couldn't handle me because my alcoholism was like out of this world. I mean, it's a pandemic. We were all there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't good for me either.
But it blessed me, man. Honestly, having to go home, I got to spend another like extra year with my dad before my dad started to really go downhill, like health wise. And my buddy Tristan, like I got to spend time with him. Like I got back in May, and he died June 27th of an overdose, fentanyl fucking overdose. Kill your fucking local fentanyl dealer. And so I got that extra time with him, and I hadn't seen him in a long time too. Like he's the background for my phone and has been since he died, you know. Um, and so that gave me that. But then over the course of while I was there, Ian was getting better and better at like recording his guitar and programming drums and stuff. So, and I didn't play drums, right, at this point. I mean, I played drums, but I wasn't playing drums. We had a drummer. So, um, so basically, he was sending me songs, and I was just recording vocals on my side, and we were kind of creating songs that way. And we did that for like about a year. When I moved back to Montreal, we tried to get the band back together. Aritra, our original drummer, it just wasn't fitting. And this is funny that I'm able to bring this in. So right around that time, Aritra, we had parted ways with Aritra. We said, this isn't working. We're really sorry. And then we couldn't find another drummer on time to play the show with Alien to the Ignorant, which was in, so by August, we had decided to part ways with Aritra, and October is when that show was happening. So in October, I went and played anyway as Common Cycles, because you're at a point where you can't really ask bands to do a lot. This is the pandemic. People are so behind plastic and shit.
Yeah.
So I went and I played, and that's when I met them. And by the way, only person to ever give me a they off the top of their head is Sway.
Hell yeah.
Like, to the point where I was like, oh, I'm a guy. It's all right. I'm like gender fluid, but like I'm a he, him. It's okay. But like it was a they, like right away. Like that dude's in touch. You know what I mean? Like he gets it. For me, I want to exude femininity in my regular clothing and exude masculinity when I'm in my feminine clothing.
Man,
feminine clothing.
You look beautiful anyway.
Dude, that bowling alley show looked like somebody threw a bucket of water on me. Like at the end of the show, it was so hot down there.
You still look great, but you were just very sweaty.
Thank you, man. The pictures that you sent were fucking awesome. So basically from there, what happened was Will and I went to TID this season, which ended up being like Every Time I Die's last show, which is crazy. But
that whole situation's crazy.
Yo, yeah.
Insane.
Wow. I couldn't believe that that's how public it was. But
it's out there.
But yeah, so Will and I were driving, and we've been looking for a drummer, and like honestly, it was like every time you show up to the jam space, it feels like, all right, well, here we go again, you know. And so I was driving, I was like, look, I love this band, but it feels like being in a chore. I'm gonna play drums. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna jump on drums. Clearly I've been doing it at jam, so we're having fun anyway. We're just gonna focus that way. We'll be a 3-piece. I'll play drums and sing, and we'll just create this way. And eventually a drummer will see us and will fucking be like, I want to be part of that energy. And it will be the perfect guy. Cut to like 6 months later, that fucking happened. Like we manifested that exact moment. Like to the point where when the guy was jamming with us, I looked at him and I said, I'm sorry, this might be awkward, but we manifested this moment and I have to acknowledge it. You know, I was like, fuck this shit. Like I believe in letting the universe know when I'm thankful for what it just fucking did for me. You know, and like, there you go. It was that, right? And then over a course of the next year, we tried to play a bunch of shows, but Grayson, our drummer at the time, broke his finger. That fucking sucked. Will had a fucked up shoulder. That fucking sucked. Ian broke his arm. That fucking sucked. I think we were together for almost a year. No, we were together for like about half a year as a 4-piece. And throughout 3 months of that, there were broken limbs.
Wow. Wow.
And so we honestly,
are they all like in like extreme sports? Like what's happening?
Yo, dude, Ian did break his skateboarding, but his arm was kind of already going. Ian had an injury when he was younger. Will also had an extra injury. Grayson broke his in the fucking pit.
Oh,
like he's a hardcore guy. He's fucking punchy. You know what I mean? So fucking, it's just his pinky too, like right here. But like you can't, you know.
The wildest thing, buddy that I used to know back in Halifax when I lived there, he showed up one day to a gig and he had broken his thumb. So he had this big cast on his hand. And I was like, what happened to you, man? And he said, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. I said, don't ask me. I said, well, now I need to know, right? He said,
yeah, you can't do that.
He said, I broke my thumb pulling my pants up. Like he got it hooked in the loop or something, and he broke his thumb.
How hard were you pulling your pants up?
I don't know.
How much of in a hurry were you?
Yeah, he just really needed.
What
to
time of day was this? Like, I have
going.
so many fucking questions. Like, what? Like, were you taking a shit and you were like, oh shit, I don't want someone, you know, taking a shit in public or something, you know? And like, oh shit. Yeah, I
No,
don't know. There's
I,
so many factors. I
yeah,
need to.
like what did you need to get away from so quickly that you needed to hike your pants up so
Yeah. Yeah,
ferociously?
like you're taking a shit in the woods and a bear runs up.
Yeah.
Like, you know? Yeah, I get it. But like, geez. Yeah, fuck. So yeah, we did that. We honestly, I started to have like a kind of a hard time. And we played our last show in October of last year, and it was a terrible show. Like we played great, but emotionally for me, it was a fucking terrible show. And we like the show surrounding it, like meh, you know what I mean? And like it was in a
Yeah.
place where somebody was like just didn't know what they were running, or it was like a shitty venue. I don't know. There was just so many factors that made it suck. And all of us kind of walked into it like today's a day of work. Um, but after that, I had kind of like a really like treacherous time in life, and I kind of started to like become like addicted to drugs and erratic and stuff like that. And um, there was a festival that was announced called the Montreal Madhouse, which is like everybody. It's basically everybody that like we knew and stuff like that. And at first it looked like it was just hardcore bands. So I was like, okay, well we're not hardcore, so it's fine that I don't feel like we were invited to play this. And then Kennedy was on the bill. They announced it with Kennedy on the bill, and I was like, fuck! Like if Kennedy's on this bill, we should be on this bill.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was insulted, to be honest. I was like, dude, you'll book us on every fucking show to open for you because you know we can bring people, but you won't fucking give us any opportunities that would help us out. And I brought this up in the fucking jam space and the jam chat, and Will was just like, look, this isn't something like I care about. You know what I mean? Like we play shows, we do whatever we do. And I was just like upset, you know what I mean? But like I get where he's coming from, so I can't say one thing or the other, which is why Ian and I didn't want to start another band because I don't want to have this kind of feeling either.
Yeah.
You know, but and I know it's pick me energy, but like how far can you go where every festival in your town that you're from overlooks you every time, and you even made it through a fucking pandemic, and you've been together for 5 years, and you know, like it's just like oh, just fucking nobody gives a shit,
Yeah.
you know. And so he quit because I was, you know, and I think me and Ian maybe have like toxic twin energy, so that might have been the thing. But Will quit, and then a month later, Grayson quit, and so Ian and I kind of decided. I was like, "What do you want to do?" I'm 32, and I don't want to start another band. To be honest, like I don't think I can do this again. And I was like crying on the phone, like, and I was having a hard fucking day too. Like it was bad. But he was like, "We'll do something, man." And so it took us maybe a couple of months to jump back in, but we just kind of went back and started jamming and just playing songs that we knew the other members like would never be able to get to because they were too busy or they couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And so and and I started to become a better drummer in this time. Like I'm in my 30s and I'm becoming a better drummer because Ian is just so good. Like Ian is a fucking genius. Like it's insane. But so yeah, for months we kind of just jammed and just like we have a jam space that we go to at that place where that bar is at Trackside that I keep bringing up. And the guy who runs it, who lives there, he charges us $100 a month. You get one jam a week, right? But because he's our friend, we were able to be like, would you be opposed to us coming in and playing some music right now? We know nobody's there. And he'd be like, no, that's fine. So we got to a point where we were jamming like 4 or 5 times a week, not like 4 times a month, you know? And this was before we had a band name. This is like, we had like a record made, like over a record. I think like at this point we had like 20 songs like in the can written and like played together kind of thing. And then we were jamming one day and we really like a band called C.I.D.B for Sewn Eyes. And for some reason I was like, you know, it'd be a good band name, Sewn Together. And I have a thing.
Rewind.
Yeah.
A sight for Sewn Eyes are the most amazing guys I have ever met in my entire life. Like
they're from out there.
Yes.
They're from out there. Oh shit.
I booked them. Boy. You know Josh, right?
I don't know any of them, dude. I'm just a fan.
Okay.
I'm just a fan.
I booked them. Like I know them from when they had their former vocalist Andrew and Josh was on bass. So all the records. All the records that you've heard. No, you're good. All the records that you've probably heard are probably with Josh on vocals.
Okay, so dude, all of it. I remember when that first EP like dropped. I don't know like how I found it, but like they were coming I think maybe they were coming through with a show, and I liked their name. I was like, I like this band name. I'm gonna check them out.
Yes.
And then you're
Yeah.
listening to them, and you're like, and their first EP has like Limp Bizkit vibes to it in some places. And I was like, yo, this shit's. I'll be your fucking escort. You know, like, oh fuck,
Yes. Hell
dude.
yeah.
We always
I'm
tried to
here for this
decide a
blast
cover
from the
to do.
past.
Yo, we always tried to decide a cover to do as No Rescue, but none of us could decide a cover because we don't listen to the same music, like ever. We all like the same music, but not the same bands. You know what I mean? But the
Yeah.
only band we all agreed on was the Cypher Sewn Eyes.
Fucking
We
right.
almost opened for them once.
Yeah.
But they dropped off the tour like a week before it happened, and we were like, "What the?"
Yeah.
But so I have this thing when I come up with band names that I go to Bandcamp and I check to see if the Bandcamp's taken. Because if the Bandcamp ain't taken in this day and age, that band does not exist.
Yeah.
And then I claim that Bandcamp. I got like 10 Bandcamps of bands I'll never start. You know? Like, dude, the last one I got was Fancy Rubbers.
That's great. I'd use
We're gonna
that.
actually start Cock Hard. It's gonna be like a cock. I was like, the first time I did it was Cock Hard, and I was like, it's not taken. Oh my god, go to Gmail, cockhard69@gmail.com, you know, and like fucking go over and claim this shit. And the dudes from Aliens and Ignorant were like, we want to be in that band. I was like, yes, let's go.
They were
But
talking
that's how
to
I
me
checked.
about
I was
that.
like, yeah, that's how I checked Sewn Together. I was like, Sewn Together is not taken. And he goes, really? I said, it's not. And then like a good pause, and both of us like at the same time basically just go, fuck. We were so good not starting a band, but now we've got a band name that's too good not to start a band, you know? And the sound fits, and it really like encompasses our personalities and how we feel as best friends, you know? And on top of that, like the fact that both of us write music, you know, I write kind of a grungier side to stuff, and he writes that mathy stuff, right? But for some reason when we throw those songs together, like they all sound like they flow perfectly together, and then we have no problem him having a riff, me having a riff, him having a riff, me having a riff, and making songs that way too. So
Yeah.
it's like it was like, holy shit. Like this is better than No Rescue. This is like exactly how I feel represented, you know? And so we went with it. And that's how Sewn Together started. It was like we were trying to continue to have the we're not a band vibe though. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
Before I ask you the second question.
Okay. Sorry for such a long-winded story. I just gave you like
No, you're good. I'm here for
I
it.
told you I like to talk, man.
I'm not gonna get through all my questions, but I'm here for the story. Like that's the thing, is part of the show is trying to just like show people how things start to where it is now, kind of thing, right? Can I tell you a quick story about A Sight for Sewn Eyes?
Yes.
Okay,
Of course
so
you can.
I've known them forever. I'm not like super close with them or anything. I won't claim that, but like I've known them
Yeah.
forever. And so I used to run these little shows out of this tiny little village called Berwick, Nova Scotia. And I would always bring them from the city, from Halifax to Berwick, to play all the time. And like, anyway, so it's a city where a lot of people are connected. It's like Saskatoon, right? It's bigger,
Yeah.
but it's the same kind of vibe.
It's got that town vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I went out with I got this phone call from my buddy who played in a band that would play with A Sight for Sewn Eyes all the time, and he said, "Hey, listen, man, like Josh and his girlfriend broke up. I don't know if he'll like this story, but whatever." He said, like, let's go out and get some drinks and like show her a good time, kind of thing. And I was like, okay, yeah, for sure. So we invited another one of our friends out, and so the four of us like had a great time. We were just partying and trying to like forget about it, because breakups are shitty. It doesn't matter who it is, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, at the bar, she like made a comment about, like, she was like, "How could you wear that shirt?" And I was like, "What?" So I look, it's a Counterparts shirt. I don't know if you know Counterparts.
Which sounds like a Sight for Sewn Eyes.
So they would play with them all.
Except
the
the
time.
Sight for Sewn Eyes goes so much harder.
Yeah. So Counterparts
on record, motherfucker. I said it.
Counterparts and the Sight for Sewn Eyes would tour like regularly together, right? And so we got poutine afterwards. We're walking home, and like I got enough forks so everybody could share, right? I don't care.
Yeah.
Everybody have some poutine right there. And so she's like eating all the cheese curds, and I was like, "Yo, like, what are you doing? That's not how you eat this, right? Like, you have to share with
One at a
everybody."
time, eating one level at a time.
Yeah, like we all need a little bit of cheese here, bro. And
Yeah.
I'm vegan now, but at the time, don't mess with my cheese intake.
I get you.
So she like looks at me and she like just like puts her hand out and I was like, I stop and everybody stops and we're all staring at her and she grabs this steaming hot poutine and she smashes it into my chest and smears it all over because she like hates the counterpart shirt. And yeah, so like I had to rip the long sleeve off because it was like burning my skin and
Yeah.
it was like freezing cold out, but as a kid you don't want to wear a jacket because you want to look cool. So I was just like topless walking down the streets of Halifax with like a burn across my bare chest.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, she
Damn,
called
dude.
me the next night and apologized, and she offered to pay for my shirt. But I still have the shirt and I wear it regularly. I got the
Yeah,
gravy out.
frame that shit. Put it on a
Yeah.
teddy bear, you know? Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I get you.
that's one of the funniest stories. I told that at the party I was at last night too. It's great.
I never got to chat with them. I saw them a couple of times. All right, do you want to try and rapid fire these questions? We'll see if I can get
Yeah.
them all in.
Uh, yeah, let's do it.
Turn my way of talking into bullet point form, which is still going to be like an entire story, but
Okay, so yeah, because we got 5 minutes. We are on the clock. This is like one of
all right, here we go.
those like game shows. Question number one. No, what's the best advice that you've received as a musician?
The best advice I've received as a musician is keep going.
Okay, don't give up. Yeah, okay, I'm down for it.
That's it. And to do it for yourself. Like
Yep.
that thing about fucking Rick Rubin being like, you make it for yourself. You don't make it for other people. You make it for yourself. It's true, you know? When you make music for other people, like I got a lot of songs that I made that I thought people would like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think they're great songs, but like they don't hit the way that I thought they would. Like a prime example would be in the song Slam, which we played a bunch of times on tour. Um, and I think you could hear me say it, but like the one line is, "You're my queen, and I ain't no virgin, but you can sacrifice me all the same."
Hell
I
yeah.
fucking love that line, you know. But every time I said it to somebody, they were just like, "Yo, I love the like, I lie here with a knife in my chest, cut me open for better access, cut me open wide for better access." So they loved that line. They didn't like the line that I thought that they would like, you know.
Right.
So really, just create, and people will find things to like, you know, if that's
Okay.
what matters. But it's not
Yeah.
what matters, you know.
I
And
think it's like the passion that you put in. I think people feel that too, right?
yeah, and just take influence from everything. Don't let anybody fucking shit on anything that you're doing. Just fuck it, you know? Create for the
Hell yeah.
sake of creating.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
What is your view of success in regards to this band? Because your view of success with Sewn Together, like what you were saying on stage at the show, like when I was shooting there, you spoke of keeping your music like within the venue, keeping your music within the room, how like what you were performing was for the people in the room, right? So
Yeah.
I guess it's a two-parter. What are the positives and the negatives of keeping your music like offline, so to speak? And what is your view of success with the band with that in mind?
Um, the negatives being like that it doesn't have there's not the same kind of rigid goal access. So we have to kind of create our own new goals. Like, do we want to make a record? Do we want to make it like the traditional way? Do we want to do things like that? I do love the aspect of it being in the room. Um, the positive side is that we get to keep control of everything and we get to make something special for people, you know? That's why I wanted to bring it up. It's like, look, you're not going to find us. Just pay attention to us now. Pay attention to
Yeah.
how you feel. That's the positive, right? You make real connections with people that way. Um, I do think that we kind of didn't change our tune, but we modified it. So it was like one of those things where there was a kid at the bowling alley who came up and said, I love that song Slam. You guys need to release it. And I looked at Ian and like without even saying any words, we both kind of, you know, like made a little nod. And I looked, I said, dude, if you add us on Instagram, I'll send you that song. Like we've
Hell
got
yeah.
all of these songs recorded already. So it was like, well, why don't we start something like a newsletter or something like an online newsletter and just give songs away for free that way.
Yeah.
So it's just to people who actually fucking want it. You know, it's we don't become part of a $10 subscription we didn't agree to, and we don't have to bullshit around about trying to take over the world. We can just try and touch the people's lives that want us to try and do that, you know? And so
As a
that
musician
is,
now, sorry, I keep interrupting you. As a musician now, like part of what you have to do is compete with everybody to get that attention. Whereas what you're saying is we already have your attention. Let's keep it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like Kevin Smith says, like, why would I promote things for anybody outside of my own audience?
Yeah.
You know, like that he doesn't want to add the like $10 million fucking promotion shit on top of his $4 million budget. Like that's kind of where it's at. You know, it's like, fuck it. There are people who want it, and I would gladly give it to them. But why the fuck would I try and throw it into a sea with a shitload of other people to see if people like it? That's where anxiety and that's where I'm not good enough and that's where all this kind of shit comes from. You know, and so yeah, and on top of that, like then we don't have to wear like 10 different hats. We don't have to make fucking music videos. We don't have to fucking release vinyl. We don't have to do anything like that. You know, like we get to make our own song, you know, like we get to write our own song this way. So that's kind of why I think that this will be like the fun way to do it.
So, I'm always curious about artists' songwriting process. I've been in several different projects, and every single project is very different in how we create. So I'm really curious about how you and Ian create because like when I saw you guys live, you're both very passionate, and I feel like you both completely get lost in your music and just like giving it 100%. And I'm wondering if you do
Thank
that
you.
every. I'm wondering if you do that every time that you practice and every time that you guys create too.
Um, yeah, we do.
Yeah,
And
which is wild.
it's one of those things, though. It's one of those things where, like Ian's in another band called Dumbass, which is really fucking good.
That sounds sick. What kind of
But
genre?
it's a hardcore thrash band, like
Oh,
a
hell
crossover kind of
yeah.
band. But every time like we're jamming, he'll play a riff. If it's for Dumbass, I can tell. But if it's for me, then I can tell that it's for me. And the nice thing was hearing that Dumbass thinks the same thing. Like as soon as he starts playing a riff that's supposed to be for me, they go, stop playing Sewn Together shit at fucking practice. You know what I mean? Like, so so that's nice because I fucking am so possessive. I claim him. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, this is my guy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And everybody who sees this jam, they say kind of the same thing. They go like, you guys have something really special together, which is like awesome that people recognize that and like and vehemently tell us like that's what they think about us. You know what I mean? The writing process, it depends. So sometimes I have a song and he likes it. And so just like it's easy for him to learn the riff. We have like a similar, it's funny because it's not everybody has this and he doesn't listen to CKY. All right, this is what I'm bringing up. But CKY has the way that they flick and slide in certain places and that affects a lot of what I write. You know, that and like the Smashing Pumpkins too, like the heavenly chords with the Smashing Pumpkins, all that kind of shit. Like
I just
those
have
really,
96 quiet bitter beings in my head
yeah,
now.
yeah. That shit like really influenced my playing, you know? And this kid just has a knack for doing it in his own way that it still sounds the exact same way that I do it. And he likes what I write. He likes what I write. And so that's why some of my songs end up getting done. Like Slam, like that I ain't no virgin, but you can sacrifice me all the same. Like that line happened while I was sitting in the chair with the mic in my hand. You know, like it's so the inspiration can happen like that. It's he'll write songs and I'll try and throw lyrics onto it, and then after that I will go and learn how to play the drums and sing it at the same time. Or sometimes like we we have a song called Decomposure. The first demo he sent me that was on Guitar Pro, so it was like a MIDI, like like MIDI version of it, and I took that track, played it through my speaker, and then put my voice memo down, and I started screaming over top of that to show him my idea. So the first demo we have of that is a fucking MIDI track from like 5 years ago, and now we're playing that like on tour. And so to go through those songs, are like we also played a song called My Old Infected Crow. And that song, the first demo I have of that is him playing the electric guitar and me screaming over top of it in my apartment. You know, it was like any way we could like it's almost like you can't stop us from it. Like we every time we're at the end of the fucking hanging out, I'm going home or something like that. Hey man, good work today. That's like one of the biggest things that we say to each other because we can't help ourselves from creating.
Yeah.
And that's why being in a band seems like a fucking nightmare because you have to consistently can work on what you've got and you have to compartmentalize how much creating you're doing so that you can do the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like me and him, this is like therapy. Like we fucking create that song and we want to go write a new one. Like we
Yeah.
don't want to, we don't want to focus. It's fun. We don't want to focus on that shit. We don't want to focus on the past. We want to be able to like get it out and fucking, and go. Like I remember one time, dude, I was sitting in my apartment and I just started watching Grey's Anatomy at this point. I'm done with it now because fuck that shit. 19 seasons of it, oh my god, kill me. But at this point, I don't know how early in the show it is, and I don't remember who the fuck it was, but there was like a triple proposal going on. Two were gonna say yes, and one was gonna say no.
I've
Like
been
you
there.
kind of knew, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm crying. And Ian, my apartment door is never locked, and Ian walks in through my door and like from around the wall, right? And he goes, "Hey man," and I'm like, "Don't look at me, you fucking." But then he's like, "Sorry, man, I'm so high right now." I was like, "What? You fucking baked?" He was like, "No, I dropped acid on the bus ride over here because like it's a 2.5 hour bus ride on the city bus from his from his suburb all the way to like my house."
Oh shit.
And yeah, and it was winter, and his headphones had died, or his his like headphones, like his whatever, but he didn't have any music. His phone died. And so he was like, I gotta hit acid. I'm gonna do this. And so it's his first time doing acid too, which is so funny. But yeah, going and realizing that like going and realizing like because we went to practice that night. That's why he came over. And we're both on the I have a picture of it. We're both on the metro, like on the subway, like high as fuck. Like, this is the coolest ride I've ever been on. It's like fucking dope. But we got to practice and we were like, we should like try and not tell anybody that we're high on acid first and just play through it. And then like going through and screaming about all my problems and high on acid, I was like, oh, this changes my outlook on everything right now, And so that's kind of the catalyst, the beginning of when him and I started to be like, it's about writing the songs and creating and being able to listen to them after for like therapeutic fucking reasons.
Yeah.
Not about having to do it over and over and over and over and over and over, Don't get me wrong, we love playing music together. And when I play drums, I don't necessarily think about my emotions so much because I have to focus on playing drums. So that's why it's like watching us play the way we play is fun, and we have fun doing that. But yeah, no, the writing process, like it's a lot nicer when you don't feel like you have to continue to perfect what you're doing. But yeah, the writing process is it's all over the place, man. It's whatever happens. And like Ian and I have a soul project. We have a soul project. Like you hear us make fucking
taking
here's
that
like
in.
post-hardcore mathcore, But we used to fucking get together like all the time when he lived in just this neighborhood that's next to me right here. I lived across the city, but I would come down here and we would like sit in the park and he would just play acoustic guitar and start playing like fucking soul riffs, and I'd just be like, I'm the one you should keep, like that kind of shit on top of it. Like
that's
like,
wild.
oh, we can just create,
I'm still soaking that in.
I'll send you the track afterwards.
Do it. Yeah. That's wild.
Okay.
No, man, I could see like just the way that you two are like, I've only seen you guys that one time, but the way that you guys are when you're on stage, like you're just so in the moment. And I think it's like, it's just the connection that the two of you have, really.
I really appreciate that you see that, because I feel that.
Yeah.
Like I feel that with him, you know what I mean? So it's cool that it's radiating. It's not just us lost in that moment. It's like people are seeing that moment.
Yeah.
Which if you're performing it in front of people, that's what you want, right? So it's that's very wonderful to hear. Thank you very much.
So the last question that I had was, if you had to bottle the energy from Sewn Together, what would the label say?
Drug sweat.
Drug sweat? Okay.
we were in norescue, and I like was looking up when I was a kid. I did a science fair project where I made my own perfume, and back then there wasn't like essential oils. Like that wasn't a thing. Like I had to use like fucking like whatever alcohol or whatever the fuck it was to like put rose petals in to get the smell from it and do all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, one day I was like, I wonder if it's still that hard. Either that or I was like looking up what the process was in general. And dude, I found that people do it with essential oils now. So at one time in the group chat, I was like, dude, I want to make a perfume. Like if you make an official cologne or perfume, and then you have a sign on the thing that says you have no reason to smell at the gig. But then Will is a genius. Like Will came up with the name for the Fungin, which was my venue in the basement. And he came up with this where he's like, because in the song Clutter by Norescue, I talk about how like I'm so depressed and like so high that like my house is a mess and I can't clean it kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there's a moment where it says, the stench of drug sweat is almost enough to feel a burn on the eyes. And so
that's
I
a
was like,
great
dude,
line.
and when I make a perfume or whatever, I want to make a perfume, and it just goes drug sweat by norescue. And I was like, dude, even if we weren't a band right now, like that, like, dude, drug sweat is an awesome fragrance name. You know what I mean?
That should have been the single cover, just a perfume bottle with drug sweat on the label.
So we had like kind of like the way that we have the Sewn Together heart or whatever.
Yeah.
We had an NRX. So it was like NR, like kind of like this.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom R was like R with like the little X on it, like kind of like medication or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're calling the band like the short form was NR little X, right? He's like drug sweat by NRX, and it's like a black bottle with like silver writing like NRX on it. Like,
oh, that'd be sick.
That's money. That's money. What's the kitty's name?
Goober.
What's the dog's name?
Halo.
Halo.
Yeah.
Halo Reach. Yo, awesome.
They're awesome. Both rescues. I didn't name either of them. I just kept their names. I got Goober when I was like 22.
We all get a cat when we're like 20 to 22.
Yeah.
For real, and it changes our lives. We're like, oh, okay, something to care for.
Yeah.
But also doesn't need so much of my care. You
instantly grow up, and also you save a little bit of yourself because it's not a child.
Exactly. You have a roommate who doesn't talk shit or like, eat your shit out of the fridge.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I have two cats. I showed you the fat one.
Yeah.
And then I have another one who's like not so fat, but he's pretty big too. But that's Sherlock and Watson.
Nice. There you go.
Kijiji, two brothers. They can't be separated. I was like, I get it. Fuck. And their names are Sherlock and Watson. And then I have a cat named Lestat who is living with my mom right now, who was the one I got when I was 20.
I was talking to my friend at work just about like I'm single and I live alone. I've got cats and I have lots of friends, but it's nice having it's nice having a roommate or something too sometimes, right?
I understand. Yo, I this is my place and I got a roommate because I needed somebody around.
Yeah.
Like
I love my independence, but it's nice to have like somebody around.
Yeah. I lucked out because me and this guy, he's in a band. By the way, I'm going to do my best to fucking get them out there because they're fucking hilarious.
Okay.
Right? But they're awesome too. They're called C.I.D.B, Catapulting Infected Dead Bodies.
That's sick.
Yeah. They're called C.I.D.B, which their logo is the CIBC logo. So every time I see CIBC, now I see C.I.D.B. But the guitarist, like, we'd only really smoked weed a couple of times at some parties, like a bit, and he was looking for a place to go, and his price was kind of in my range, and I was like, all right, well, I have an extra room here if you want. He comes, and then next thing you know, like he's a blessing, like he's an absolute blessing to my life, and I appreciate him like out the ass. Like I would have not done so well had he not moved in when he moved in.
Hell yeah.
So I lived by myself for quite a while. That's why my drinking problem got like out of control when I first moved here. Not only did I live by myself, but I lived like in a place in the city that like nobody ever wanted to go to. Then I had to consistently be out of my house and like wasn't with my cat. And
there's a lot of like my family, everyone struggles with some sort of addiction. Really, I'm starting to realize my addiction is working.
Ooh. You know what I realized mine is? Attention. Which has put me into a lot of very fucked up and shitty situations just because like I need that attention that like I strive for so much, which is why I'm a performer and stuff like that. Like obviously,
Yeah.
Like in my therapy sessions, like luckily this guy's like, well, clearly you know where your problems stem from. So we're not going to go through this. All right. We're going to try and figure out what to do with your addiction to attention to be able to be more productive and do this and do that. But yeah, that's my most unhealthiest, I think.
Yeah.
My most unhealthiest. listen to my English. We're on the fourth beer, bitch. That's where we're at.
I'm just
Yeah.
coming to the realization that like throughout my entire life, I've always had to do something. I've always had to create. I've always had to bring a camera with me or put on a concert or, start a magazine or try
Yeah.
doing a zine. It's always been something for me and I'm always doing it in the
100%,
background.
100% will commend and continue to push the energy of bringing a camera everywhere with you though. Like it sucks now that we're in a point where people hate when a phone camera comes out because it's like, dude, you have a camera on you all the time now.
Yeah.
But they're so afraid that it's going to go right to the internet. Whereas like I'm happy that we come, like I'm going to say we because I'm assuming you're a year younger than me, so we're here. I'm happy we come from the jackass age where they influenced us to bring a fucking video camera around with all. Like I have so much footage of me and my friends when we were teens. You don't get that, like, and not boring footage. Like it's us being stupid. Like it's fun to watch. And then on top of that, like right around the same time, the digital camera comes out. And the digital cameras, people were taking like hundreds of pictures of themselves doing stupid shit. And they weren't like even worrying about their personality in that picture because they knew it was on the hard drive of that thing. Right. So
Yeah.
it's like having a disposable camera, having things like that. Like people will be themselves for a picture from an actual camera. But when it comes to a phone, they just won't,
Speaking of pictures, I should take a picture for the Instagram. Perfect.
Do I look cute? Get my good side.
Yeah.
Every side's a good side, bitch.
I love it. I love your energy.
Comment on the pronouns. So that's what people ask, right? What are your pronouns? And I just say he, she, they. I don't mind as long as you're talking about me.
So there's your attention.
That's my response, and I think that it's lit. But no, that's it. As long as you're talking about me, I don't give a fuck.
Oh yeah.
Just say my name.
As long as I'm
my name is like one of the most like neutral names there is too, like Joe.
As long as I'm in your head.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you remember me forever.
There's a song, I think it's Backfire by Throne, and it's like the lines in it are too real. It's just like one of the lines is like, "What made you so obsessed with me, bitch?" It's such a great song.
There's something about the word bitch that gets me. Like, especially when it's like right before a fucking like dirty ass breakdown. And it's just like, like,
yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that shit makes me laugh.
I'm here for it. No, I get you.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck yeah. Man, this has been an awesome conversation.
Yeah,
I'm excited to check out your podcast. I haven't been able to have the time, so I'm gonna jump back in and I'm gonna check out your shit.
I was gonna say,
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, man.
It's a labor of love. Let's just put it that way.
Well, yeah, I was telling you, I have a podcast too.
Yeah.
Which I don't do on the regular. I tried to, but I know.
I
have so many fucking things in my life and shit. So, especially trying to be a focused musician, I guess. Like I've written movies. I want to focus on that. That's what I'm gonna do right now. I want to focus on a movie. We come back from tour. Yeah. I want to make a fucking short film.
That is my dream, man, is to make a movie.
Yo, fucking let's talk after this about movies. But yeah, I focusing on music like took so much away from it, right? Like we got into a point and now I'm at a point where I'm 4 birds in. What were we talking about?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I know, right? We can't check the game tape because we're like on the game tape right now. So
there's no playback.
Yeah, there is no playback at this point in time. But yeah.
What were we talking about?
Right? Damn. This is where we're at. See, you've got the weed drink. I got the beer.
I've had 3 so far.
Oh, podcast. Okay, so I have a podcast.
Jesus.
We're literally doing one right now. Yeah. We're in the middle of doing the exact thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I have a podcast. I don't do it regularly, but it's called Rad Influences.
Okay.
And I talk to my friends and I ask them about their life story. I have a full belief that everyone in your life has something worth telling you, and that the only reason they think their life story is boring is because nobody asked them, and nobody's willing to really listen.
Huh.
Me, I talk a lot, and
Yeah.
when I'm on that podcast, I have an ability to listen, you know, and that I'm still here. I'm still here. Hold on. There we go. My phone went to the 10% thing,
Oh yeah.
but 20%, 20%. We hit the first level.
Low power
But
mode.
I believe that those conversations and having them recorded is unbelievably important. And not only just like a conversation, but like an in-depth conversation about like what has affected you in your life, what you believe is important, who you love, you know, and it puts a lot of friends on a pedestal where they gush about the people that they love, you know, and they're more expressive about like what those people mean to them. And me, I'm on a platform right now where I get to do the same to that person who's right across from me, you know. It started with like my dad, like he passed last year, but I knew that he was born in 1939. I had an older dad, okay? Like 4 months after my dad was born, Hitler bombed Poland. I'm still in my 30s. Okay, so this is where you're at. But
I
I
love
like
how you just put it into exact perspective.
yeah, right. um, but his life story, not only is his life story interesting, but it encompasses all of history, like that we kind of know, right? Or that
Yeah.
at least is like the most important when it comes to the age that we live in now. And so I started the podcast with him, and I called it Skipping Over the Ocean, because my dad's song is Everybody's Talking, which, if you know that song by Harry Nilsson, everybody's talking at me. Like, that's his fucking theme song, you know? Like, I'm going where the sun keeps shining through the pouring rain, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know? And the last line is, and I'll be skipping over the ocean like a stone, you know? And which, you know, I'm going to be solid, and I'm just going to fucking, I'm gonna make sure that I fucking make it through life. I'm gonna experience everything I need to experience, but I'm not gonna let it fuck me up. You know,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that was his. And I started talking to him about his life story. And then I watched how my dad's a talker like me, you can imagine. Like if you look at a picture when him when he was in his 20s, he looks exactly like me. Um, bigger nose. We'll still dig it in. Uh, but no, like he at first, like he goes like, I'm like, you ready to start this? And he goes, what am I gonna say? And my mom in the kitchen, you can hear go, like, yeah, all right. Like, you know, I asked him his fucking name. I asked him his name. An hour later, you know, we're getting to a point where he's in a really emotional part of his story because people don't ask him his story this way. Like, to really dig deep in it and
Yeah.
to be like, can you make me a timeline? Can we make this timeline? Can we do this? You know? And he ends up saying like a very beautiful story about him and my grandfather, where like they hadn't been talking for years, but this is like this moment where they finally hugged for the first time in like 6 years. And he's like, and he cries for a second. He goes, and my dad doesn't cry very much, but he cries and he just goes, that was probably the most wonderful moment of my life up until then. And then he says, I will have that beer. Thank you. Someone got him the beer. But then that influenced me being like, man, I should do this with everybody. And so I did one with my girlfriend at the time. And the next one I did was with my friend Tristan, who is the guy who passed the month and a half after I moved home.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like 5 years before. So next thing you know, my friend passes, and I have this hour-long conversation about him, or of him, telling his life story. Not only that, but gushing about his family, gushing about his brother. I have this to offer to his fucking family. Here, this is something you can listen to. This is your son. This is your genuine son.
That's
Here.
beautiful.
Because this is my biggest thing. My biggest thing is, look, come and tell your life story how it needs to be told, how it deserves to be told. And if you don't want me to post it, I won't. If you want me to change your fucking name, I will. You know? But people's lives are important to know. We all learn from each other, you know?
Yeah.
And the people who don't get asked sometimes have the most like fucking interesting stories to hear.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I always say I'm gonna try and get back into it, but realistically, it only ever happens when I meet somebody who I know can talk.
Well,
some people don't want to do it, you know. So
I feel like it would probably be difficult for a lot of people, but I feel like it would be emotionally draining for you listening and interviewing as well. Like I feel like that would be a lot for me to process.
I'm not such an empathetic person, so I don't internally feel it, because if it's not a situation I've gone through, I don't get it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And like,
for me,
there are
I'm the
people
opposite.
in this world. There are people in this world who are They consider themselves empaths. But like, but if
I
you're an empathetic person, and being an empathetic person is a very common thing for some people who can like understand the world around them. Me, I grew up in the suburbs and I have a very selfish world point of view. That's why all of my songs are about me, you know? And so I'm a very sympathetic person though. And so that's what allows me to be able to do that podcast and be able to continue to ask questions afterwards. Because I wouldn't be able to if I got to a point where somebody had said something so sad that like my entire world fell apart.
I always try to tell people like, um, this is your space, this is your time, you know, use it how you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the way to be. That's the way to be, you know? That's exactly what like the world I try to create too when I'm doing my podcast too. It's like, look, I don't have to post this, you know, but this will be important.
Yeah, for sure.
It will be important to somebody, you know? Like I was my friend Seamus took his own life in November, and in December him and I had planned to do his podcast. And
Man, I'm sorry to hear that.
so I was like so close, you know? You know, like being able to have Tristan's and then not being able to have his, it was like one of those things where it was like, fuck. And I know that he would have been like weary of telling his story the way it needs to be told too. So it would have been one of those things like, I don't have to share this, you know, like I don't have to share this, but it's going to be important. And
Yeah.
that's like the bottom line, you know, again, pulling your camera out everywhere you are, fucking recording every jam session you have, fucking writing every idea you have down, anything, you know, it's important as fuck.
Capturing moments is really what's important to me, you know. And I think like crate diving is, you know, all encompassing, where I have portions where I will do the photography and the live work, and then I'll do stuff like this where I do the interviews or behind the scenes stuff, right?
Well, like, dude, honestly, you looked at us while we were playing, like we stopped that song and you looked, can I go behind you? And like as soon as you said that, I was like, yes. Like, of course you can. Like the fact that you even asked, like you shouldn't have had to ask. You could have even gone right between us. At one point I was like, we should just have everybody fucking stand around us because fuck it.
Yeah,
Ian,
you did. You did
moves,
say that.
Ian moves, right? Yeah, Ian moves around and stuff. But me, I'm fucking stuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So fuck it. You know, but no, like, yeah. Like it's wonderful when a photographer will have the gumption to fucking jump on stage and take a picture of a drummer, because there's never any pictures of the drummer.
You know there aren't, and
you get different angles of the audience and shit. Like those are wonderful pictures, by the way. You have an eye.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't know. I'm still experimenting and learning. That's my thing. Is just, if you're not learning, then you're not doing it right.
Just do it. You know, keep going. Best advice I ever got being in a band: keep going. Best advice I ever got as an artist, as a human fucking being: keep going. Yeah. And I'm shouting out Scott. I'm shouting out fucking Suede. You're fucking doing it. All ages shows, you're fucking doing it.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate you.
We appreciate you even more. We wouldn't we wouldn't have any of the memory we had without like people like you. So it's fucking important, man.
Thank you, man.
Just continue to do this shit.
Thank you for coming on the show, man, too. I think we might run out of time.
So that was fucking hilarious. I think we're gonna run out of and it got like right at the fucking perfect comedic moment. Amazing. But in my little like 5 seconds of like having my own time here, I like on Facebook, there's been a bunch of like every time I die subgroups that was created from like the Eat Idiots group, blah 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 blah. Well, one of those groups is like it's a Canadian group. So there's only like a good, like, I don't know, 1,000 people in it or 1,200 people in it or something.
Okay.
And some chick posted and she's like, should we revive this group? Are you looking for shows? Are you doing it? Blah, 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 blah. So she said. And I said, yes, we should revive this group. And then I just kind of gave a little spiel. I was just like, just got back from tour with Alien to the Ignorant. It was put on by like Beefy Records and Tisnail or whatever. If you're ever looking for shows, you should look through them. Bro, already 2 comments that I just saw in the last one. One, Alien to the Ignorant fucking rocks.
Hell yeah.
And the next one was caught you guys in Edmonton.
Fuck
and
yeah.
I was like, dog, what? In a group that like I feel like I don't know anybody, even though I've been an Every Time I Die fan for a long time. Like I still don't feel like I'm part of like the Eat Idiots group.
Yeah.
Although I bet you, if you were to ask anybody who was at the last hit of the season, Hey, did you see the guy in the fucking Batman nylons? They'd be like, yeah. They'd be like, yeah. I got so many fucking compliments. Right? It's like dudes, like big buffy dudes. I'm like, look, not gay. You look hot as fuck though, bro. And then fucking, I'm like, what if I wasn't a guy? Though too, right? Like, yeah, at this point, I'm wearing a dress and shit like that. And I'm like, what's up, bro? You look great. See you later. Like hand-tested comment, right? You tried your
Yeah.
best. And thank you, obviously. That kind of enthusiasm is contagious,
It really is.
you know?
They give you their energy, kind
Yeah.
of, you know, like it's
And
like you feed off of it.
they're just such wonderful people. Ian and I are both kind of going through like withdrawals while we're on tour, right? So like Ian's sleeping the whole time. And like me, I'm trying to make merch, but I'm like kind of whatever. But
Yeah.
me and Mick hung out all night. Like a few nights, like me and Mick just hanging out all night. And just like we watched Goldmember at one point. It was fucking lit.
Makes so much fun.
Fucking Mick helped me out with like most of that.
Yeah.
And we got to
Oh
become
yeah.
like fucking friends. And this dude's like his personality is fucking awesome. Like the first time we hung out it was the second time I met the band. Like I don't know if you saw the group picture of them where we're like on the side of the mountain. They look like they're fucking like one's fucking the other one in the ass, the other one's blowing the guy on like the side of the mountain. I think it's one of their band pictures. I took that on the side of the mountain in fucking Montreal.
Okay.
Um,
If you listen to our podcast, I'm pretty sure in the interview that I did with them, we talk about that.
I need to go back. I'll go back and listen to it because that's fucking awesome. Yeah, no. Um, but to be able to like have those moments like with not just with all three of them, but with Mick, and then be able to like kind of like actually kindle that cool friendship with him like
Mhm.
throughout the tour. It was awesome. And then sitting with Suede and playing guitar and stuff like that, and getting to like become best friends with him like for real. And then Johnny, there was that moment on tour where I was like, look, I've had moments with these other two, but I want to fucking have a moment with you, bro. Having a moment like that with Johnny was kind of like a strive. I was trying to do that, right? Where I would have a moment where I was able to become buds with Johnny because it was like I know that, you know, I know that all three of them are like perfect buds. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I love their energy together. Outside of that, I love their energy when we hang out, and they're just sweethearts. I have a bottom line in my life. A bottom line. I have so many friends, man. Like I've been lucky enough that let's say if I've made 1,000 friends, only two of them have turned out to be pieces of shit, and I could name them who they are, but I'm not going to. But they're all different walks of life, but you can tell, man. The bottom line of all of them is that they just have the sweetest heart, the biggest and sweetest heart, you know. And those three, like you can't even think like one way or the other about them because they're just so like their aura fucking shows it. Like
Yeah.
just how sweet they are and just how fucking like how much they care, you know? And so eventually I got that moment with Johnny and I was telling you about it, like where like they didn't have the click. And I had already been saying to Ian, and I think I said it to the other two band members once they were just done. Like I said it to Swade and Mick. I was like, yo, this is the best show of the night. Or the best show of the fucking tour. Like this tonight was the best show of the tour.
Oh yeah.
And then Johnny, like, yeah, I was like, no, like they had to be like, Joe, tell Johnny what you told us. It was the best show of the tour. He's like, you're lying. And then I was like, nah, guy, like you need to. It's time to stop not knowing how good you are. You know, sometimes artists they just need to fucking get over it.
Well, it's that imposter
You know,
syndrome. I get it all the time.
I get you. I've got it. I am like imposter syndroming right now
Yeah.
as I say these stories. But no, it's wonderful to be able to create moments with people, you know, and that's like a big
Yeah.
goal for me. It's to just like even if I've known you for a second, you know, creating a moment is what matters because then no matter what, even if I never see you again, like we get to be important to each other in some fucking way, you
Yeah.
know, or I get to make you smile, you know, it's something that makes you smile, you know, so. And this is for us, right?
That's why I wasn't saying anything. I was just thinking that.
Yeah. No, and it's nice to make core moments and to understand it in the moment when you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know? So you know, it was a fucking super privilege to go on that tour, man. We couldn't have done it without them. And it was like one of those things where I was asking them if they were coming out here.
Yeah.
Well, when are you guys coming back? We've got this tour plan, but we don't really plan on doing much the next little bit because they need to save money and they want to make a new record and they want to do things like that. I'm sure make a new record. I'm just putting it out there that they should make a new record. But then offered. It was like, yeah, no, we're going on this tour, blah blah blah, with this and this. We did it last year. We're doing it again this year. ... You guys could come out and tour with us. That'd be fucking cool. And so then I was like, stipulation: neither of us drive, and there's no way we're taking instruments with us. Like, if we're going out there, we have to fly. Like there's no driving out there.
Yeah.
And so they were like, no, that's fine. Yeah, you use our instruments and fucking we'll drive you around. There are 3 in that big truck that they've got. It's a truck with a fucking back on it. It's not like it's a giant van or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, even though I knew the seating was okay, it was like, that's still going to be 5 people in what they're used to 3.
You're talking about Suede's truck, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so they offered that for us, and that's how we were able to go do that. They put us up. They built bunk beds in the basement so we could have them.
That's sick.
You want to talk about sweethearts?
Hospitality.
That's extra mile.
Yeah.
On the bunk beds there was dino sheets. Like, only adorable people think of shit like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Only people who deserve the world think about making people feel like that when they show up.
Yeah.
And not only that, they created that for all of us, and like had our back, and we like had great times, and fucking I can't say enough, man. I can't say enough. Like, that tour reinvigorated my life for going on tour.
Love to hear.
I fell in love in Lloydminster, guy. Like, we're there. Like, I had a good time.
Hell yeah.
I had a good time. Damn. Yeah. No, and then looked at Ian like right after like having like this conversation with a chick till like 10 o'clock in the morning. Till 10 o'clock in the morning. We had a hotel room. Okay. This is the final story, okay? Lloydminster. We're on our way in. They're like, just so you know, this is the most conservative town that we're gonna play. Just like so I can be wary of what I'm gonna wear, maybe.
Yeah.
We get in, we play a great show. I'm like making eye contact with this chick, and all this shit goes down. I end up talking with her till 10 o'clock in the morning. Like, literally talking to her like till 10 o'clock in the morning. We had a hotel room because the guy who was going to put us up couldn't put up 5 people. He thought he was going to do 3. So he bought us hotel rooms, or got us hotel rooms to stay in. I did not take advantage of that hotel room at all. I was like, oh, my own bed to sleep in? Oh, a nice shower to use? Why would I do that?
You just stayed up all night talking
to this chick. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that,
dude. And so what happened is she leaves, and turn around, and I close the door at the hotel room, and I look at Ian, and Ian goes, like, he just kind of gives me a smirk, and I was like, fuck, man. Like, damn it. I live across the country, guy.
Yeah, that's rough. No, I've been there.
This tour had everything to it. It wasn't even a roller coaster. It was like all a high.
Yeah. Sick. That's dope.
Yeah. So I got every aspect of what you want on tour. Man, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on the show, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Sorry to fucking take up so much of your time,
No, man, you're totally good. This is your time, so it's your space.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. Please continue to do what you do for your community. And yeah, you probably won't have to try hard to convince us to come back. So
hell yeah.
We'll be coming back. We made a lot of friends out there.
Looking forward to it.
We had a blast. So, and thank you again for the fucking pictures. And this is fucking fun. It's great.
Oh yeah. Cool, man. Well, thanks for.
And I'm gonna listen to this fucking Alien to Ignorant episode. Is what I'm gonna do. I'm Joe from Sewn Together, and this is Crate Diving.